Hi guys, in this video we finally get to drawing something on the screen in Atic Atac. I fixed a couple of problems and the code in the sort of starting project is just down below inside the comments below, so the video show notes, whatever you call it, down there, the description. That's the one I'm looking for, the description down below. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started after the fade. Okay, so this is the original program, and I will upload this. I haven't yet, but I've been working on a Bitbucket repository, so everything's going to go up there. So this is my canvas. This is the picture here, the picture frame, the image frame, whatever it's called. But I do want to go to properties for this. And initially I said that I wanted to make everything 1024 by 768 in the first video for this. That's when I was thinking it. So this Atic Atac Remake has been in the back of my mind for, I don't know, a very long time anyway. And I was initially going to do it in Blitz Max. By the way, if you are, of course, looking for a book on Blitz Max, I can recommend this one here. Shameless plug. So if you're following along with this, then I mentioned about I wanted to be in 1024 by 768. That's kind of I can achieve that ratio. I can achieve the 4:3 ratio. I don't need to zoom in or whatever. I can use the camera to do that. So actually having this at 1024 by 768 makes all the calculations further down the line a lot more difficult. So I just want to use the exact data that we get from Atic Atac, and we can use the Unity camera to zoom in on the action. So I'm going to replace all of this. Instead of having the size down here is, in fact, let me just bring this properties up here so you guys can see this. The size is 768 by 768, so I'm going to change that to, instead of 768 by 768, every one of these is square, so it's just going to be 192 by 192, because that is the size of the actual image itself. And then inside the form data, so the spectrum screen is 256 across by 192 down, so it's a 192 square, because we actually, if you remember, Atic Atac has got that little indicator thing down the right hand side of the screen. So I have my binary data here. I'm going to create a new bitmap, which is going to be 192, and that's going to be 192. And then I have a describe room. So I go in here and I think everything is fine, except where's my X and my Y? X and Y is that. I have a scale here. Yeah, here we go. Clear, scale transform. And then I don't want that. And I'm going to turn off anti-alias to see what it looks like just now. And I think I'm okay after that. Everything else, it just draws it. So this scale here was just basically to move that scale up to, I changed it to 4, so because 4s multiply out, you get 768. So I think we're good to go here. And here we go. There's the rooms here. So I just click through the rooms, and you see that it's now pixelated, which is good because I actually wanted it more pixelated than anything else. Stairs down, stairs up. Actually, they've been fixed all of a sudden. Oh no, that one was the broken one. So we can fix that in post, and I'll do that offline rather than doing it before, like I did in the previous video. So these are now all in the correct size. Okay, so this is the size that I want, excuse me, for my images. And if I go over to here, you now see that we have these images here. So if I bring up room 5, for example, it's this size. And we can zoom in and we can see all the jaggies are still there, which is good because I want it to be, it's not going to be a pixel perfect rendition of Atic Atac. I'm not going to copy the exact enemy movements. It's just basically going to follow you and try and kill you. But I want to try and get the aesthetic as close as possible. So that's the first thing I need to do. So although I'm going to continue recording this, I'm going to cut this bit out because I need to fix room 7. So I'm going to do that just now. Okay, so I'm going to put this up in a project anyway, but the sort of base project, and then I'm going to stop here and I'm going to submit this to GitHub and all this kind of good stuff. So here's our rooms here, and I have my scroll over here. So now what I want to do is I want to create a Unity project, and that Unity project is going to be the sort of, well, it's going to be our Atic Atac game. But I want to set up the screen in such a way that is going to make it a lot easier for me to do the color clash, because I've been experimenting with the color clash as well. So I'm going to create a new YouTube project, and this is going to be called Atic Atac Remake, and it's going to be 2D, and I'm going to create the project. Okay, now the project itself, the way I want to, I'll show you what I want to do, but basically I want to have everything the same size as possible, which means that the top left hand side of the screen is going to be what do you call it, the top left is going to be the top left, so everything's going to fall off of that. So the first thing is I want to add a couple of folders here, so I'll add art, I will add scenes, and I will add scripts. So inside art, I am going to have rooms and other things in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag all of these over into here. So that's going to be my room data. I'll get back to them in just a sec. And then I'm also going to have my UI stuff. So my UI folder things are going to live in here. So scroll is part of that UI thing in there. But scroll is also going to be part of the scene as well. And this is where it gets a bit kind of how I have to figure things out. Because like I said, I want to have the color clash, which means the room is going to be of a particular color. And then we're going to layer things on top of that. So when things move, we're going to see the color clash appear, which is going to be pretty awesome. Well, at least I hope it's going to be awesome. I've done a couple of tests and it works out okay. Okay, so if we go back to our rooms here, so all our room data here, can I do this? Yeah. I am going to set this to be 1 pixel per unit. Now that seems like an awful lot, but when you consider these screens are only 192, that's only 192 meters. So it's not actually a lot. I mean, 192 meters is like less than a sprint, so it's 200 meters. So that's good enough, I think. I don't want to have any filters on there, and where else do I want to have here? The pivot is not the center. I want the pivot to be the top left, and this is the important part. I want the pivot to be top left. So I click on top left, everything is there. Tight single, yep, okay, and then we click on apply. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing for my scroll as well. That's going to be 1 pixel per unit, and it is going to be point no filter, and I am going to click on apply. Okay, and now I am going to drag out my first room onto the scene. And the first room onto the scene is here, and you see it's massive. In fact, if I go to the game, you see it's absolutely huge, and we'll fix that in just a sec. So this is at 0.000. So I am going to call this background, for lack of a better word. I am also going to grab, sorry about that, I just had a coughing fit. Really should bring water down here. It's my own fault. Okay, what I want to do here is I want to zoom out so we see the full size of the room here. And what I want to have is I want to have this scroll in the scene as well. Now you see that it's at 000, and the reason for that is because I didn't set the pivot to be the top left. So if I set the pivot to the top left, click on apply, he now moves down to 0, so he's now taking over the same size as the screen. But if I move him where is he? Scroll. If I move this object 192 pixels to the right, that means that he's going to look like the Atic Atac screen. So if I do 192, and you see that we now have a seamless border between these two. So we've got almost the Atic Atac screen. In fact, if I go to, here's the actual Atic Atac screen here. So here we have our scroll, and here we have our room describer here, and then we flip back to here. You see that we're starting to get this shape together, and I'm keeping this as simple as possible because I don't want to make the math complicated in all of this. So that's why when I initially did this, I was multiplying by 4 and all this kind of weird stuff. I don't know what I was doing. Anyway, we're getting there now. Okay, so my scroll is going to be just call it scroll, and I have a background here which is just the background, but I also want to have an empty game object, and I'm going to call this screen, and it's going to be at position 0, 0, 0, which means it's going to be the top left, and everything I've got is going to hang off of that object. So everything is going to hang off of screen. So anytime I add something in there, it's going to be a child element of the screen. And what that means is I can actually control the depth of where these objects get shown, but I'm also going to be using it because I can then look through the children of this and then determine which objects are moving, which ones are static, all that kind of stuff. So our background is going to be static, our scroll is going to be static, and then everything that hangs off the background element we can draw first, and then everything that hangs off of the moving object. So I can create another object that says, let's create an empty one here, and we'll call this mobs. Very kind of typical name for it, so moving object, mob. So everything that moves is going to be inside there. So we're going to have to update the look and feel to determine. This is going to basically to determine the color clash. For a normal game, it doesn't matter, but because this is a Spectrum game, we want it to have color clash. And talking that, we actually want to have this to be pixel perfect as well. You notice there's some kind of weird jagginess going up there. So I'm going to go and create a material here. So I'm going to create materials. And I'm going to create a material called Pixel Perfect. And that material is going to use the sprite shader, which is the default one, I think. And we're going to use Pixel Snap on there. So we're just going to say Pixel Snap, and that's it. And then for our background, we're just going to drag that material onto here. And you'll see that we now get a sharper, much sharper image. I don't know if you can pick up on the video, but it certainly picks up on here. In fact, I can zoom in on, let's zoom in on scroll. And we'll do the same thing for scroll. So we drag our Pixel Perfect onto here. You see, it just makes it just a little bit sharper. Yeah. Okay. And then we need to have all our other rooms here. So that's room 0 is the default background there. So we're going to create a script now that is going to change the current background image. All right, so our script is going to be, I'm just going to call it room background. And our room background is going to have a couple of things in there. Then we're going to expand this as well because we need to have like the overall color. Because if I flick back to here, you see that this is a cyan color. So we need to be able to change the background color of that. Now, we're not going to change it in here. Like if I go to here and I change the color from that to the cyan color to there, it's done. Yay, we've done it. But I don't want to do that. I actually want to do this in shader code. So I'm going to have another object, another script that's going to go through that, prepare the camera viewport, and then show that information there. Actually, I knew there's something I was forgetting to do. Okay, before we go on with doing this script here, the problem is we've got game, which now looks like this. So what we want to do is we want to have the camera pointing at the game. So if I do main camera, and you see it's this size here, so I can grab these handles and make it bigger, and then I can, what was I going to do there? Yeah, I can make that bigger, and then I can change the X coordinate, but I know exactly where the X coordinate is because the X coordinate is actually half the size of the screen. So the X coordinate is actually 128. So now we're centered there, and the Y coordinate is half of 192, which is 86, minus 86 even. That doesn't look right. This is why we have calculators. There you go, 96. It's close, but no cigar. And you see that we have our image there, and then when we look inside the camera preview, you see that we have almost the whole thing. So we can just drag this drag handle out, and we'll do this as manually as possible until we eventually get to that point there. And that's, I think that's us. Oh no, we're a little bit over. So maybe it is 96. Maybe that us on dead on the money. Yeah, I think that's us dead on the money. So now, no matter where we scroll, we still have the right size. So when we go to 4:3, you see that we're now captured inside that region there, which is good because that goes right up against the edge. There's a little border here. I don't know what they were thinking of when they designed this game, but that's what it is. 16 by 9, 16 by 10 as well. So we're good to go there, and we can change the background as well. So instead of having that bluish cornflower blue, in fact, we can bring it down to black, and now everything's centered. Everything looks great. Okay, so we're starting to get the game working together. Okay, so back to our project here. So we have our script. So let's bring this script up here. And I am going to have, I'll need a couple of these things in just a sec. So the first thing I want to do is I want to have public sprite rooms, public int current room ID number. Let's call it number. And we'll call this one last room number, which we'll set to 0. So every time this property changes, we are going to update it in. I'm going to change the sprite. So we need our void update. If last room number is not the same as current room number, so in other words, the users changed it. What we want to do is we want to say last room number equals current room number, and then we want to clamp it to the number of rooms we have, because we don't want to go over. So this here, this mod function is going to give us the remainder, which means that we're going to get a value between 0 and length minus 1. So if we have 10 items, we're going to get a value between 0 and 9. So our last room number is there, and then we want to set the current sprite renderer to be the sprite that we choose. So we can do get component sprite renderer sprite equals rooms last room number. And that's us. Although maybe what we want to do is we want to cache this. So what we can do is we can have sprite renderer sprite, and then inside our wake we do sprite renderer equals get component sprite renderer, and then we can require component type of sprite renderer. So we make sure that we have a sprite renderer, so that we don't need to do any if checks. We know that at this point we have to have it because this script must have a sprite renderer associated with it. And that's it for here. So inside our background, we are going to, this is our background object here. So we're going to add our room background script, and you see that it has a number of rooms attached to it. So we're going to go here, we're going to click on the little lock up here, and then we're going to choose room 0 all the way through to room 1, and we're going to drag that over onto our array. So now we have room 0, room 1, room 2, room 3, and so on, and we uncheck that box there. And now if we save the scene, so we'll call this the game, because we only need one scene for the game. We don't have multiple scenes for the game. We're going to describe everything inside here, so we don't need to have, you know, a scene for every single room. We're just playing the game. We'll have one for a game over, we'll have another scene for the main menu, but for now we just need one for in here. So when I run the game now, eventually it pops up, and I go to background and I change the current room number to 1. You see that it now changes to here, 3, 5, let's change it to room 7. So there's our room 7 there, and the falling down room is room 12, and there's 2 room 1s. Where's the 2 room 1s? Why do I have 2 room 1s here? Oh, because I've opened up the sprites, that's why. Oh, I was wondering why I had 2 room 1s there. Okay, ignore me. And then room 10 obviously gives you that the up and down one. So it's looking good so far. Obviously we're going to have another property on here that's got the current room color, and we'll have like a controller for the whole game itself that will manage all the background colors and things, and we'll get to that in the next video, I think. Alright guys, thank you very much for watching. It's very much appreciated, your time as always. If you liked the video, thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, thumbs down. Please let me know either way whether you liked the video, and if you feel free, if you want to get timely reminders, then you can subscribe as well. So smush that subscribe button down there if you need to subscribe. You don't have to, it's a free country. So yeah, thanks again for watching.